Hey guys, it's Sharon, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about why online school is less effective for students. So I'm sure everyone loved the thought of having school online, right? Being able to sit in your bed while also attending a lecture is just the best. However, it's not as effective as you guys might think, at least for me. After this speech, you're going to all realize that online school isn't as effective and how going to class is actually a lot more beneficial. After doing a lot of research on this topic and personally experiencing this issue that I'm going to explain, I feel confident enough to inform you all about this topic. When having classes online, students have to be a lot more independent with their schoolwork, causing it to be harder for them to grasp the information. The cause of going online is even more so now because of the global pandemic that we're facing. And the solution to these issues that I'm going to explain is finding more ways for teachers to be more interactive with the students and for teachers to be more understanding with their students because of the difficulties online schools puts on them. The first problem with online school is the students have to be more independent with their schoolwork. When taking on an online course, there isn't as much structure for the students. According to Beck and Lovelace of Education Corner, some online courses require students to be extremely independent. The professor or teacher may simply post what needs to be done and when it needs to be done by, and then leave it up to the students to complete the task. Online classes are exactly the way that Beck and Lovelace just explained it. Because a lot of the time students have to teach themselves the content when it comes to online class, making it harder for them to grasp the information that the teacher wants them to understand for the course. Because they have to teach it to themselves, and it's assumed that they understand the lecture that the teacher is providing for them without any questions. Another problem with online school is that students have a lot of the time have to figure out how to understand the subject content on their own. If any questions arise, they have to email the teacher, and who knows how long that the teachers are going to take to respond, which honestly makes a lot of students fall behind. This makes learning for students way more difficult than it has to be, because if they were in class and we were in a classroom, we can raise our hand and or talk to the teacher after class and get an answer right away, rather than waiting for an email. For me personally, online school has been a lot more difficult because of these exact reasons. Teachers give these assignments and, with no fault of their own, assume that students are going to understand it because of the way that they're teaching through the lecture, which isn't always the case. For students like me who need to ask a lot of questions and get more information and more guidance for harder classes like STEM classes, chemistry, math, sciences, people including myself, usually need more guidance, so online school isn't as effective for us. Now that I've addressed why online school isn't as effective, I'm going to be talking about why all these students have to go virtual. We're dealing with this problem more so now because of the pandemic that's happening. COVID-19 closed all institutions, and which caused all students to go online. This pandemic further highlights the barriers placed on students to do well in classes. This is affecting the younger population, those kids who are just starting to learn to read and write, because now they're at home and not really in a school environment, which can cause them to fall behind. This could be harmful for the success in their future because they're learning virtually surrounded by all their toys, which can cause a lot of distraction. Another barrier that for students because of online school is that they can't afford the technology equipment that is needed to pursue their classes. According to Han Adeli and Ashley Balsarak of USA Today, they interviewed a teacher and she explained how we have many students who are new to the country. They don't have access to a computer outside of the school or public library. This can be an enormous obstacle for students to continue with their education because they can't afford the equipment to do so. And because of that, this can cause them to fall behind and not fulfill the education that they need to go farther in life. Now that I talked about why this problem is occurring, I'm going to address a few ways for students can do well because through this barrier with the help of the teachers. Searching for more effective ways for teachers to be more supportive and understanding towards the students due to these circumstances is the best way to help better this problem. Since there's nothing we could do about school being online, I think the best solution is for teachers to be more understanding of what's going on and how the students are taking this. According to Bree Zender of KUNR, I would say the first thing is please do not minimize what your students are going through. Please be supportive. And I personally agree with this when I read this article. Because this is not an ideal situation for students. This is not an ideal learning situation for students. So the best thing teachers can do is be more understanding that this puts a barrier on us as students to learn and do well because of the circumstances that we're given. I think the best way to help students succeed during these times is for teachers to be as interactive as possible with their students. For example, having more office hours so students can get extra help, as much help as possible, or creating more practice worksheets so students get more practice on the content and get more of an understanding. The teachers being more available during these times, which is a little bit of a lot to ask for these teachers because they do put in a lot of work, but because it's such hard times, just the teacher giving more guidance for these students would be the best solution to this problem. Today I had the opportunity to talk to you guys about why I believe that online school is not as beneficial as learning in person. I got to talk about how students have to be more independent with their online classes, why all students have to be online due to this global pandemic, and lastly, a few good ways to go about this problem, which is to find more ways for teachers to be interactive with their students and just for those teachers to be a little bit more understanding with them.